Hey everybody, this is Kai and you are listening to the Retro Zoo Super Show. Except not really. We were needing to postpone the episode of this week due to some real life concerns. But this was also the week that our first episode debuts over on Patreon of our retro gaming music show, Bloopery. And so we wanted to share that just to kind of give y'all an idea of what's we're going to be doing. Some of the things we're going to be doing over on Patreon. This is going to start as a monthly show for our patrons only. And so if you do like this type of thing, then please do head on over to patreon.com/technofunkboy. This show is going to be available at any tier, and so $1, as low as $1, and of course up as well. We do have a major, actually probably a couple of major albums coming out in the next few weeks. The first one in the next few weeks that will also be on Patreon at our $3 music level. But of course, we also are continuing our Mega Man releases at the $1 and up level. And so hope you do enjoy this. And if you do, we'll see you over on Patreon. But in the meantime, let's get into it. Greetings, everybody, and this is the debut episode of Bloopery, kind of our study of gaming music and just our opportunity to get together and just really kind of relax and listen to some great gaming tunes. I was trying to figure out what kind of theme to do for our first episode, and then just to give you a little bit of background, I am going to try to kind of theme these episodes into certain styles, into certain moods, so that we can have just kind of a united approach. And sometimes that's going to come from several games, and sometimes it's just going to come from one single game. And so that's actually going to be the case this time. And so without further ado, I'm going to play the opening song, the title screen to this game. And I'm curious as to how many of you will recognize it. There's certainly no way I would have, because this is an exceedingly rare game and one that I have never had the pleasure of playing on an original cartridge. It's a fantastic game, but we'll be getting a little bit more into that as we go. In the meantime, let's start it off with the opening song. Yeah, so that is the title screen music for the game Little Samson. This was an NES release that did not. It saw the light of day, but not much of it. It's an exceedingly rare game. It came out in very late in America in very late '92. And so this was very, very late in the NES life cycle. As with a lot of those games, I think a lot of it just got overshadowed by the release of the SNES, which by that time had been out a year. And, I remember these NES titles that kept kind of trickling out, but they just were not drawing the attention that so many of the previous games had, because the focus of both players and developers what had turned mostly to the SNES. But Little Samson is actually just a fantastic game by Taito. If you do get a chance to play it, I've absolutely fallen in love with this game, and I've fallen in love with the music of this game. So this is actually a title where there's 4 heroes, and you can switch at any point in the level. You can switch which hero you're going to play and which and how to approach a certain area of the game. And these heroes are all really, really distinct in how they move, how they act, how they fight. And so for our show today, we're going to go through the themes of our 4 heroes. The first one is going to be Little Samson himself. So he's known in game as Lickle. And in fact, the Japanese title of the game translates to Holy Bell Legend Lickle. And the bell is a reference to he actually chucks bells at people as his attack. But when you picture Lickle, if you haven't seen this character, it's remembering this is very late in the NES cycle, and so the companies had gotten very good at the physics, at the animation. These designers and companies had been working with the NES for quite some time by this point. They knew how it worked. They knew it inside and out, and they were able to do a lot of things. One thing I love about Lickle, and it tells you a lot about his character, is that when he jumps, and this isn't like an action platformer game, so there's a lot of jumping, a lot of traversing obstacles and such. But when he jumps, they animate him spinning around in the air. He essentially does a 360 in air as he's going, and it's just that kind of like just adorable touch that's so charming about this game. It's the colors and combined with the animation. The animation is very fluid. It's one of those games like a Mario 3 where you're just looking as like, man, they really, really knew how to squeeze this NES for everything it got, So Lickle is a very, very fast, very lithe character. So he can scale up walls. He jumps very, very far. And so he's a very, very fast moving character. One thing I like about him is that normally you're like your first character. If there's multi characters, your first character is just the average Joe. They kind of does everything a little bit okay. Well, Lickle's not like that. His jump is, I think, is very close to the mouse's jump as far as distance. He has abilities that like the mouse can climb up walls. We'll get to the mouse in a bit, but the mouse can climb up walls, but none of the other characters can. He's fast. He's faster than most of the characters, and he has a personality of his own. And so when you listen to the song, you're going to hear those characteristics in them. You're going to be surprised at how fast the song is, and how that really just kind of, and how like just how boppy and how pop it is. It really fits that personality. That this is a game that is very interested in being a very colorful spectacle. It's meant to be as much cute as it is fun. And that's a lot of the charm to it. And the music, you're going to hear that in this music. You're also going to probably recognize the music if you listen to the Retro Zoo Super Show, because this is the music we use for Phil's Gaming Emporium commercials. But we'll get to hear a little bit more of it as we go. So without further ado, let us jump into Lickle's theme. Okay, so that was Lickle. The next character you get, and I should mention, it's like the introduction to this game is actually really, really cool. So the king summons the heroes. He actually does just kind of a general summon that he needs help. And it reaches the 4 heroes, but they're not together. And so the first stage for each hero is a solo stage that is designed to get you used to playing that character. And so for Lickle's stage, there's a lot of areas where you climb up walls and you jump across to the other wall. And this stage is very aerial. It is all about being in the clouds and flying. And then once they get together, after, once they're all united, that's when you start the game proper, where you can switch out characters at will. But first of all, you got to get used to each one. And so the next one is the dragons stage. The dragon's name is Kikira. And as you would expect, she can fly. She spits fire, and that's kind of her thing. She's not as fast as Lickle is, or the mouse is, but she's very competent and can be a lifesaver in some of those passages that are very vertical and have very difficult jumps that some of the other characters might struggle with. And so let's listen for Kikira's theme. You'll notice that song slowed down a little bit, right? It's not as quick as Lickle's theme, but it's got that flow to it that's still there. It's not nearly as like grounded as we're going to come up with the next theme. So the music in this game is just wonderfully tied to the character, and you get a sense of each character by the music that plays. And you're going to hear a lot of Gam's character in this next song. So Gam is a golem, and Gam punches extremely hard and can do stuff that the other characters can't do, like stand on spikes and walk across them. And also has a lot of health. So he's just a tank of the party, but he's not very fast, and he doesn't jump very far. And so there's a quirky thing about this song that I'm going to tell you on the other side of it. But this is Gam's theme, and we will play it now. Okay, so the quirky thing I have to share about this theme is that as you probably know, I watch a lot of speed runs, and the reason I came across this game is because they were playing it in one of the Big 20 events, and I'm a fan of the speedrunner Arcus. And so he was practicing it, and he started singing along with this song, but he gave credit to whoever wrote these lyrics, but I don't remember who it was, and I haven't been able to find it. But the one part, and the reason the lyrics go like this is because Gam is so slow that you only use him in the level that he has to be used. Which is his introduction level when he is traveling to go see the king. And he's just not useful for a speed run, but he's much more useful in a casual play. But at a certain point, Arcus was singing I'm guessing that this has gone around the speedrunning circles of this game, but it goes Golem's theme. You're only gonna hear it once. You're only gonna hear it once. which I think is just fantastic. A way, especially when you're playing the song, playing the game over and over again, to insert your own lyrics to these. It's a lot of fun. Oh, so finally we come to KO. And KO is the mouse. I've mentioned the mouse before. You weren't surprised at the final character. KO is a really interesting character. And the speedrun actually uses KO a lot. And the reason is because KO's attack is very powerful. And KO himself is very small and fast. So I'm not sure if he or Lickle is the fastest, but KO is so small. There's actually several areas in each stage that is just small enough for him to get through, but no one else could. And so he's very useful in times like that. And his attack is also the strongest. Now that seems weird, right? Why would you give the strongest attack to the smallest and fastest character? Doesn't that make him a little overpowered? Well, kind of, but you've got to be really good with him to use it, because his attack is not a projectile weapon. It's a bomb. And so he sets the bomb. He doesn't throw it. He doesn't chuck it. He doesn't shoot it. It's wherever he is. And then if somebody runs into the bomb, it will explode, or after a certain amount of time, it will explode. And so if you're good enough where you can get in really, really tight to the boss and plant some bombs as he's coming, but get away unscathed, because of course KO is going to have the least amount of health of all the characters, then you can do a lot of damage very, very quickly. And if you watch the speed run, you see KO being used quite a bit for this very reason. Get in close to the boss, set a bunch of bombs, and you're out of this battle very, very quickly. When I try to do stuff like that, I immediately die because I'm not good enough with KO. So this is, KO's usefulness really, really scales. At first, he's really only useful to getting into those small areas or getting through a section fast. He can also climb on walls and ceilings, so that makes him very useful in certain circumstances. But as you get better and better with him, then he gets more and more useful with his attacks. And so we're going to, KO's theme speeds things up a little bit because again, his character's more based on speed and such. And so that's what we're going to hear in it. But you're also going to notice there's just real, like a very complex rhythm going on in this song, the like of which we have not heard in this game so far. And I think that's really, really interesting because KO, using KO as a character, it's easy for him to get away from you. It's easy for you to kind of lose control of him because he's so small and fast. And the song reminds me of that, the erratic behavior of a mouse, especially a mouse that's been spotted and chased and bouncing in all directions, and you never know where he's going to go. And this is just so reflective in the way KO plays and the way KO fights. And so I really, really like this song, and I hope you do too. So let's check it out. this is one easily in my top 5 NES soundtracks of all time. I adore this music and just have a lot of fun with it. It's as colorful, as vibrant, as much fun as the game itself is. And so this is one of the really great video game tragedies that this game was buried so much and sold so poorly, since it really was a fantastic game. Thankfully it's not like one of those true tragedies of all the games that have been lost to time and will never be able to recover, because we at least do have this game and have been able to preserve it. So that is the first several tracks to the Little Samson soundtrack. I hope you did enjoy these as much as I do. We will be back next month. If there are certain themes, certain games y'all want to hear, please just let me know. I'm really interested to know what kind of stuff that y'all really like to hear as well, because there's so much game music that I'm still discovering and still having so much fun finding these old gems that perhaps I didn't play originally when I was younger, but nevertheless are still just great music and a lot of fun. We're not limited to 8-bit. I picked a game for our opening episode, but we will be drifting further forward in time as we explore this music. So thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for supporting the show with your patronage. That means a lot to us, and we really do. You can't imagine how much we appreciate it. So we will see you next month.